You're listening to the Light Over Time podcast with David Sargent and Korey Bartos. It is April 12th, 2025, and it is a beautiful day for the first time in a while. How are you, David?
I'm feeling great. It is a beautiful day. Finally, spring has sprung.
Yeah, I love that. Coming off the end of our 50th episode, we have more of a normal show for you today. I'm sure David has some updates. There's some wild things that have been happening in the gear and software space. So I have a couple of things here, but I'm sure we'll just get into chopping it up. This episode, the episode 51, I wanted to start with, I guess, two questions. The first being for you, what do you want to see the most from the camera industry right now? Because it's like tech is plateauing a little bit. There's like a lot of really good stuff. Obviously you just moved over to Nikon and things like that. I don't know if you've thought it could be actual camera gear, or it could be a technology, or it could be something.
I really think that there are many leaps and bounds yet to be made on the software side of things.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really nice. Like, I was talking with you guys before about like what Nikon's been doing with firmware updates, which is great. But it still feels we're in the like stone age of camera system menus, and like interface and even functionality. Like, you know, when I was first learning photography, I intuitively thought that like a camera you'd spend hundreds of dollars on, you'd be able to plug in your shutter speed, whatever shutter speed you wanted, just by the number, because why? It's a computer, like, right? Like, it's got a dial. You can do stuff on it. No, that's only very recently a feature that you can do on some cameras, and some brands don't have that on their highest end models still. It's a weird thing. I know it's niche, but when I was doing astrophotography and like learning about the 500 rule and like, oh, long extended shutter speeds of a specific nature were something I was like looking into, I was astonished that the software just, I don't know if they didn't think people wanted it, because why spend time on something a very, very small amount of people care about? But I was like, this seems like an easy feature to add in though.
Yeah.
And I kind of think it was. I'm surprised we're not seeing more of that still, but I think we have a long way to go. I mean, it feels like we're still pre-2010s interface on our, you know, on our modern cameras, which is weird to me. Even like the updated Sony menus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's where we are. I feel like even like Z50 Mark II, we'll talk about later, like the basic entry level cameras. I mean, that's not a cheap camera, but you can get in anywhere with a new camera these days and have the feeling like you are at the top end of technology. You know what I mean?
Yeah. With the interface stuff, I still find it kind of crazy. Even a company like Sony, which has so much tech, you know, they're not just making cameras and trying to like, you know, do their best. They have all consumer electronic stuff. And I guess maybe they haven't been super good about this with their like foray into phones and some other stuff, but I'm surprised, really surprised that they haven't been able to hack a good file to phone, like a good app, like
a good one.
Like, I was just going on a tirade with my boss about just how good like all of Apple's connectivity is when it comes to AirDrop and all that stuff, because he's still on Android, and that's fine, like that's whatever. And an app that we were looking to use currently is only on Android, so I can't use it on my phone. And he was showing me, and it looked fine or whatever. But I was like, see, like that's cool. Like it's cool that you prefer that, and like you don't want to buy Apple stuff. You don't have a reason for that. But as like a creative individual, the connectivity is unrivaled. My AirPods, this is the coolest thing I've gotten in the last 10 years, because these work better than anything I've ever used in my life. They always just turn on when I put them on. If I set them down, they pause. Like if I'm taking a call, they sound clear. My voice sounds clear. These are amazing.
I'm gonna have to invest in those because I don't have a good pair of headphones right now, wireless of any kind. I broke mine that I've had for like a decade. But what is AirDrop that it isn't technology that could be developed by other companies right now? Because that is a perfect file sharing tech that I want to see.
I mean, it it definitely has something to do. It's the same thing with how these work. So, have you ever used these, or do you just
Nope,
know of them?
never.
So
Yeah.
these, that when you open them, your phone knows that you opened your case for these things, and it can tell you how much the thing is charged and how much
Hmm.
each individual earbud is charged. That's crazy. I got Elle a set of engraved ones that
Cool.
say Dr. El Davio. Um, and when she first opened them up, when she first got them, on her phone, it has the engraving on the little digital photo of
That
them
is
opening. It's
sweet.
crazy. And it's because it's not just Bluetooth, it's their protocol that they have for all of the connectivity.
Yeah.
So, because it's a closed system, it handshakes naturally. And they probably have a decent amount. And I bet, like, I'm not as tech savvy as I used to be. I've gotten out of tech like the last 10 years. But I bet that it's probably not even that secure, other than the fact that they don't have it open, which is why nobody else can use it. I think there's a video of Mark Zuckerberg talking about how badly he wanted to do it for his glasses.
Mm.
And he was like, guys, can we just get the, like, I want someone to be able to use these Meta glasses, put them on, and they work with your products, and they just won't do it.
If we can zoom out though, imagine a camera that has sharing capability as flawless and fast as AirDrop.
Yeah. Yeah, incredible.
I mean, is that too much to ask? Because I feel like we can do it.
Yeah,
Somebody
well,
can do it.
Apple
Somebody
would
should
have
be
to
able to do
it.
it.
And Apple's not going to
Yeah.
make a good camera. They could make a camera. It would be probably similar to the Sigma BF, and it would have really weak functionality for a professional photographer. But I digress. I step back. I disagree. I think that we have so much space to improve user experience and everything on those. So that's fair. I like that.
Yeah.
I think the next one is, what is the next piece of gear or tech you think you might get for yourself?
I'm just like coming down off of spending so much money. Why would you make me think about
Yeah,
that?
because that's capitalism, baby.
Oh, God. You go first. I got to think about this.
Um, I have some lenses and stuff that I want to pick up, but I asked this because what's interesting is I've zoomed out a little bit. I've been watching more gear stuff, and I just got a custom amplifier that I commissioned like in
Oh, yeah.
December. And I had talked to the builder about it in 2021. So it's like years in the making. And getting that was the first time in a long time, and it's happened with guitar gear where I got something and I went, I actually don't need anything. I don't need, I want stuff all the time. My brain is incapable of like not wanting to flip gear and do wild stuff.
Yeah.
I can't not do it. I've been doing it since I was a child. Like I was flipping guitar gear at 11 years old on Craigslist. So it's just programmed into my brain to want to flip gear
Yeah.
and try new stuff. But all of the cameras are so good that there's nothing I need. There's nothing that I need, and there's nothing that I want. I want to make stuff.
Yeah. I'm sitting in that kind of position, but I do have an answer for you.
Yeah, what is it?
Uh, so I haven't yet sold the A7 IV or
Right.
the 150-600, and I'm probably going to sell the long lens there. I have been considering either sending that camera in to get infrared converted or Astro modded for H alpha. But it's, I could use the money. Like I could put the money away, which would be helpful for like next year's car expense or whatever. But I have been forever looking at people who've modded like a modern full frame camera, whatever modern meant in the last 10 years, just going, man, like that's like yet another leap over the technology I have available to me, even though I've got pretty top end stuff now. To just go and spend, what is it, $250 or $350 on adding an H alpha filter onto the A7 IV would make it such a capable camera for Astro, but then you make it so niche for its use. But it's the third full frame body I have lying around, and I can't stop thinking about it. And it's the one reason I have not yet listed the Sony. I'm like really taking my time thinking about doing that.
I'll tell you what's really cool about the infrared camera is you can just put a filter on it and use it like normal,
That's true.
which is pretty sick.
Yeah.
We have the A7S II at work, and regrettably, I haven't experimented that much with it other than doing night vision stuff and being able to see like IR
Yeah.
lasers and stuff in tactical scenarios. But I've taken some photos of landscapes and stuff with it, and it's fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely fair.
What's your input? Do you think I should infrared or astromod?
I don't know enough about the Astro mods.
Mm.
I assume does it like clean up like color
So there's
pollution?
a
or
couple
something?
different things you can do. I don't know the intricacies of the multiple options you have, but you can get the H alpha one is good for picking up like better, I think it's hydrogen gas in the sky. So like the reds from hydrogen gas. Um, that stuff is very interesting to me, but also I'm like, how committed am I to like spending all night outside these days? Probably on a tracker. Like I love doing astrophotography, but in my mind I'm like, but infrared's also pretty cool.
Yeah,
But there's also like you can get really good ones that cut light pollution out, so like it finds the right chemical composition that cuts that particular frequency out. So, you've got options and they're all relatively like the same price. So it's like I got to spend amount of money, like $300 or whatever it is, pick one of them, and then that camera is going to do that one thing from now on. Or like you said, infrared, and then you clip it on and it's still a usable clip on a filter and it's a usable camera again. But again, it's the third body I got lying around. So I'm like, I could just commit it to this one thing.
yeah,
I've never thought that I'd be in a position to be able to make this decision. And I'm like, I don't know, man.
yeah. That's fair. It's tough. I definitely I've picked up the infrared camera a couple times, and it's
Yeah.
like everything else. Like I really need one photo body and one video body, and I can do everything I need.
Yeah.
There's things that I wish the A7CR would do, for instance, that is kind of holding me back, which is why it is available for sale. And if I can sell it for a decent price, I will probably just get an A7R5,
Ooh, yeah.
because there's, I guess I can just jump right into that. The biggest issue with the C series cameras for somebody who works like works and does like a lot of photography and kind of cares about image and is doing a lot of stuff. And then my experience with the A7S III, which is my favorite camera of all time. The freaking EVF on the A7S III is incredible. And when I zoom in to see if I got something sharp, it's incredible. And the resolution is amazing. And it's awful nasty crap in the A7CR.
That's incredible to me because the A7S III is, what is it, 4 years old, 5 years old?
Yeah, but it was their highest end video camera at the time. And
yeah, no, I get it.
So like they gave it the sauce. But it's crazy to me that this also $3,000 camera has like a 1.6 million dot EVF, because it's bad enough that I often think that I just didn't get focus on birds.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, that's a throwaway. And then I put in a bunch of birds just to throw on Berta today. And I was like, I don't think I got a single sharp photo, because I was like zoomed all the way in and going through all of these blue-winged teals, which I didn't have in my Berta yet. So it was a lifer for me. And they were all awful. And then I put them in Lightroom and they were fairly sharp. And I was like, oh, so it's just bad. It just like when I zoom in, it just looks like awful, nasty crap. Which sucks in the field, because then you're sitting there like, I got to make sure I get a sharp photo of this bird when I could have just stopped. It's
not confidence inspiring.
Yeah, now I have 80 photos of this same exact bird from the same focal length at like 3 different apertures, just because like I hope I can like nail it.
Dang.
Yeah. I've always liked the EVF. The EVF on a camera has always been important to me. It's why I didn't love the Ricoh. It's why I haven't liked other certain cameras in the past. But a good EVF, wow. Yeah, just brutal. So love the form factor. I wish I just had all the money in the world, because I'd love to just like let the 40 mil live on the A7CR and drag that around everywhere. But it's an expensive camera, and I can flip it into the A7R5, which I would probably shoot everything on. I would shoot
Yeah.
normal video on it. I would do everything that I need. And when I was doing a video project, I'd pull out the A7S III. Like that's it. So that's where I'm at. But
Yeah.
it is a little unfortunate. I want to play with. I haven't really touched the A6700 very much at all since kind of getting the 100-400. But I want to see how much of that is suffering as well from like zooming in when you're trying to make sure you get a sharp photo and it's just bad.
Yeah.
Because I think it's also pretty poor on that. So, but again, that was only an $1,100 camera, so I can live with it.
Yeah.
Like that's a lot of camera for $1,100, considering the Ricoh is basically the same price.
Do you think in that form factor for that small body that there's some compromise on like the capability of the stabilization?
No, I don't. I think the stabilization on my 7CR is sick.
Okay.
I think the issue is literally when I zoom in, it's like bad, and it just doesn't.
Interesting.
It doesn't look like it's sharp. Like I said, I got them on my computer and they were sharp.
Yeah.
But not being able to tell on the field sucks.
Yeah. That does suck.
Yeah. So I have a couple of gear things. Did you want to do a update about since you've been shooting with the 500 and the Z8
Sure.
stuff?
It's not a long list. So I finally broke out the Z8 at work yesterday, day before, just to do 4K 120 slow motion. We've got like some merch stuff, and I had this idea to show off one of our hand grinders. It's actually my hand grinder, my personal one in the video, where I took the bottom off, and so you just see the grounds falling out from, and it looks good. We put like our merch shelf lights behind it, so we've got the grounds being illuminated, and 120 FPS looks so good, slowed down for something appropriate. So just a nice, pretty little video. And that's like, I haven't done a lot of video yet, but I have from this outing that I did last night, a few files of 4K 120 of some of the birds that I was looking at.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to dig into that later, but I'll go over that real quick. It wasn't a whole lot. I spent 2 hours after I visited Kurt at Second Story Studio, contemplating designing and printing and assembling my own zine. Yeah. And so he had some paper, just some like nothing fancy, but like paper that would be foldable but and lightweight enough to just practice on. So I went and bought some paper from him, and then he had his camera, so we both went over to Presk. We checked out the bog walk. There's a little area. So you went to that area with me, but I wasn't privy to it at the time. There's a little boardwalk area just before you get into that main part where you can walk around, and it's basically a marsh. So like a totally different environment. Not a huge area, but we checked that out. Saw a song sparrow, lots of crows, and some of the typical stuff right now: red-winged blackbird, goldfinch, pine siskin, that stuff. And then went over to the other side to where the peregrines do nest. And as soon as we got up top of the hill, we heard him call.
Nice.
And saw him, and he came right above us to a tree and just stayed there we watched him for like 20 or 30 minutes. So hung out with him, got a few photos, took some video. Hopefully it looks good. I'm sure it will. And then we went down to the harbor, saw some goldeneye, some bufflehead, and I was able to really I had a couple opportunities with the Z8 and the 500 to test tracking these ducks as they were like flying in to land on the water, but coming directly at me, which was really cool. And what was really great was I could tell that if I wasn't getting focus, it's because I wasn't able to keep up, physically wasn't able to move the lens and keep it in frame. Yeah. Because every time I was able to get that duck back in frame, focus snapped, and it felt so good. It felt like the tool is working the way it should, which I haven't felt for wildlife photography before. It's pretty amazing. Yeah. So got to practice that. It was really, really cool to see that focus work and just stay as it went from, far away towards me over the course of like 5 seconds, just watching, boom, 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 stays in focus. That felt really great. And then we watched bufflehead and goldeneye for, 10, 15, 20 minutes, something like that. And then I was gonna leave, and then as I was heading out the park, I went over the bridge at Dead River and saw a hooded merganser. So again, I pulled over, and usually those guys are very skittish. Like I expected to pull over and start like pull up the camera and start shooting, and he'd fly off, but he wasn't too quick to move away. So I got a few different looks at a hoodie, which I think was the most time I've spent with a hoodie because they usually don't like to sit around people or me too long.
Dude, they haven't cared. Every time I've seen them, they haven't cared, which is, it was, again, I haven't seen them until this year in my entire life. So, like, I had nothing, I have no experience other than that. But
maybe I'm just not lucky. But
yeah, the first one I ever got, we were just like over by the river or whatever, and it was just hanging out. We were close because, like, those are those really nice hoodie photos I got of that
They're
dude on the
beautiful.
ice. And he's just hanging out, and we were just, I wasn't being sneaky at all. I was like walking up with my big dumb ass and, doing this.
But yeah, and
cool.
I wasn't sneaky at all either because there wasn't a lot of room for me to like be sneaky. I had to cross the road and it's a little embankment, and either I could stay behind the brush and shoot through it, which I did for a minute. And then I was like, all right, if I can step through this brush, I can get down to the water's level. And as I was trying to do that, then he was like, hey bud, what you doing? And he scooted across the other side of the river. But that was it. About 2 hours worth of shooting. I think I logged 11 different species for the 2 hours, which right now is okay. But over the next couple of days, I was just looking online, and it looks like migration is going to be big this weekend, like into Monday and Tuesday. Like hundreds of millions of birds are on the move now.
Dang.
So over the next few days and into next weekend, we should be seeing some stuff. I'm hoping some like black and white warbler, maybe.
I didn't think that was happening until next month.
So like the majority of the warblers do, but like the black and whites tend to be weeks earlier than the rest.
Okay.
Even the yellows can be a little early too. So I'm going to be on the lookout for them. I saw eBird had some gadwall and some other things. I'm really hoping to get like horned grebe this year. Lots of stuff. I'm excited. So that's what I'm into right now.
Nice. Yeah, dude, I'm kind of reverting again because I just did a handful of photos to throw on Berta today, and from like last weekend and then like the 30th of March, and I still haven't done every single day of my Tulum trip yet. I've just done I think 3 days.
I've been watching.
And it's like I think I just need to go back to like wanting to get really good photos of birds because I've been settling for much crappier photos because like I'm just like trying to do the numbers thing. And I think that's because like the energy that we have as a couple, Elle and I, is like let's go find all the birds we can.
Yeah.
But like then I remember if I don't get a good photo of any of these birds, I don't care. So I definitely want.
That's why most of mine are going to stories lately.
Yeah, for sure. And like and that's why I haven't even posted most of mine. Like I think I've probably posted 10 species from Mexico and we saw 80. So like
yeah.
And it's just cuz I haven't gotten through them all. It's a ton of stuff. I'm obviously editing and stuff every day at work, and I'm currently working on like organizing all of my raw files from work and home. And so I'm going through it right now. Like I'm trying to figure out how I can get all my data cleaned up because it's kind of a mess right now.
Yeah. I think that's a small nugget of a larger conversation, which is to say that you went to a place once and saw 80 birds, and that's just part of like seeing something for the first time. You're going to shoot whatever you got in front of you because you got limited time.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas the people there can spend their life, mastering the environment if they're going to do that. So it's just the time that.
Well, and I got really good photos in Mexico.
I don't doubt that.
But I'm talking about like going to like Lake Lansing just in the morning before work or whatever, and then like we got like a loon and like a pied-billed grebe or whatever, like super far away. And I was like, why did I even bother taking that? Like I knew it was too far away. Like I'm in crop mode. I'm at 600 mil. I cropped in the photo like 1/4 of the frame. So it's just like it's barely pixels. And I was like,
I think
just
we
so
all
I
do
can,
that though.
I know. But what I'm saying is like when I start doing that, when I start doing just the numbers and I want to try to get all the birds and not just, then I just have a bunch of freaking files and I get overwhelmed because I have all of the files I'm shooting for work and all these freaking files. And it's like, if it's not a good photo, dude, I need to not care about it. Cause like,
that's interesting.
I'm doing so much like file management right now that it's like driving me nuts and I'm not having fun. So if I'm not having fun, I need to like take a step back and be like, well, that bird's too far away for me to grab it. So like whatever.
Yeah.
And like L is crushing it. So it's like I can look at like the birds that we see together, like they're in Herberta. Like I don't need to worry about it and try to like get it all logged into my stuff. I do not care. I want to be enjoying the experience and trying to get the best photos I can. That's what I want. That's what I need to like refocus on.
Mhm.
And it's allowed to be both. You're completely allowed to do two different things. Like,
Yeah.
I like seeing all the new species. There's been times where I literally was like, oh, I've never seen that bird before, and I just didn't take a photo of it.
Yeah.
Because it's sweet. Like, I'm just enjoying being out in the freaking woods with my fiance, so it's fun.
So I think this is where like some photographers who really want to be like the best of the wildlife photographers start to diverge, where I think you can spend many, many days, months, years going out and just looking for things, or you can be the type of photographer who says, "Oh, I found this awesome perch, and I'm going to sit at that perch for the next 2 months
Right.
until I get like the bird that I want
Which
to
I also
finally
can't,
land
which
on."
I also can't do that because I am with a person who is like
Oh, and yeah.
getting the birds. So we scoot and move, which is fine. I love it. I enjoy it more than anything last several years.
And
Um,
that's part of it too.
but I don't love coming back to hundreds of photos of like
Yeah.
really tiny pixels of birds. Just
Yeah.
like I'm like, dude, what am I doing with all these files? I don't care about any of this. The light wasn't even that good.
I
Like
think I still even take some of those, and I'm sure like maybe I just tune it out now, and it's part of the digital clutter that I just take it, shoot it, and forget about and delete later. But I don't know. Maybe I'm also a little bit more conscious of like composition stuff because I like small and frame stuff if I can build a photo around it that's like I don't know. I don't know what I'm really trying to say there, but I think we all go through that a little bit.
yeah, I just wanna take cool photos that look
I mean,
dope
I feel that.
and are
Yeah.
the thing.
Hmm.
And sometimes it's just not right for that. Like the conditions aren't great to have a great photo.
Yeah.
It's going to be really muddy, really super flat photos. Like if it's just overcast. But we're
Yeah.
getting into the better weather.
For sure.
We're going to be not freezing every time we're birding, which is going to be awesome.
Yes.
And there's going to be a lot of birds soon. So we are going to Maryland in, oh my gosh, 2 weeks.
Nice.
Yeah, less than 2 weeks. To go see my dad, and we're going to go to the Blackwater Refuge again, which we have been to once, but we're also going to go to Assateague Island, Chincoteague area on the other side of the Delmarva Peninsula, where it based off of the like maps and time frames that I've seen, the main migration should be in that area while we're there. And then when we come back to Michigan, we'll start getting some of those birds again. But East Coast, Midwest, there should be some different stuff. They have some wild seabirds and things like that over there. So there's also like thousands and thousands of plovers that do their thing over there. So or sandpipers.
Sandpiper.
And I'm hoping to see that because I think seeing 1,000 sandpiper would be pretty sick.
Yeah.
But that's our next big bird thing. I'm still like, other than the fact that I like max out at 1/4000th of a second and my EVF is bad, I'm not really wanting that much from my camera. I like my lens. I did bust out the 2x teleconverter again recently, and that's just for sunny stuff. Like it's so brutal. What I just realized though is I should probably give it a shot doing S-Log on the A7S III for video. Because at f13 at 12,800, the second native ISO and S-Log on the A7S III, I can probably get a really good exposure at f13 and get some sick like 4K 120 video. I should probably experiment with that sometime.
And you should have a lot of latitude, even if you're pretty close to like exposing way to the right with that kind of footage.
Right. Yeah. But the being native ISO at 12,800 is insane on that camera. It's why I won't get rid of it. Like why I could sell both of my cameras and just instantly afford to get an A1 II, but I would lose 12,800 and that tiny that pixel density, the big light sensor. So it's magic. It's probably one of the best cameras that Sony has ever made. And we'll see. But I do want to figure that out. We'll be taking the same stuff. I'm trying to see if I squeezed in just enough time to rent a 300 millimeter f2.8.
Yeah.
So if I did, the only lens I'm taking to Maryland will be a 300 f2.8 with a 2x teleconverter. I assume I'll probably hear like Monday or Tuesday if I either got it or didn't. But
okay,
that would be pretty epic. I think that would be really fun. I think 600 f5.6 could be pretty gnarly. I'd even, obviously, if we're close enough to anything, I'd take that teleconverter off and play with some 300 f2.8.
Yeah.
I am thinking about kind of counting all the last little bits of things I have and saving up to potentially get a lens like that, because they're not that bad, and if you're a creator on B&H, they're really not that bad. You save like 1,200.
Yeah.
So that's pretty wild.
And you with the teleconverter instantly goes to 600 f4 on a 300 2.8.
5.6. 2.8 goes to 5.6.
Oh yeah.
2x,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, a 600 5.6, or God forbid I get ballsy and buy a 400 f2.8 and have 800 f5.6, which would be probably too much for a lot of what I do. But I could probably run the 400 a lot. I probably wouldn't have to use the teleconverter a lot.
For sure.
It could be cool. That in crop mode, right, would be really nuts. So you're getting 600 field of view. So it's cool. I hope it happens. I'd like to
I
play
hope
with
so
it.
too.
I think it'd make for some interesting images and stuff like that. But I'll probably just take that in the 40 mil, because I'll probably use the 40 mil for the dogs and stuff when I'm hanging out. But
I want to see that too. Before you move on to like gear stuff, well, any news stuff, I would like to make a nice mention, because I touched on it lightly, those firmware updates that Nikon dropped.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal to a lot of people, but anybody who bought and uses the ZF has some complaints, and one of the big complaints was the fact that it has its own dedicated ISO wheel dial, and that instead of throwing auto on that wheel, they hid it in the menus, but you could activate it by putting the dial to C, but then still you'd have to go into the menus and then activate it or deactivate it if it was on that C mode. The C mode allows the camera to control ISO internally. So finally, Nikon dropped firmware version 2.0 for the ZF, which included the ability to just have the C mode on that dial be auto ISO, which is fantastic, because now I don't have to have my FN button, my only customizable button, be set to an ISO change button, which is fantastic.
Yeah,
so it's huge, because now I am free to do whatever I want. And right now I have it set to just toggle DX or FX, which is really cool, to just hit the button once and toggle it, and you just bump in or out, which is super cool.
Yeah.
Even on the Z8, it's got like 5 different aspect ratios. So it's not even a toggle on the Z8. It's a hold and dial move, which is an extra little function. It's fine, but I really like the fact that the ZF just a bump and you're in.
I have it down on the D-pad on my A7CR, and that thing gives me 26 megapixels in crop mode, so it's insane. I just use it all the time. I'm in crop mode all the time.
I think I'm at about 20 on the Z8, which is still very, very nice. So
that's
26
epic.
is really cool. So that's huge. That is one feature only, and there's a long list of features. I won't even touch on them. They're just a lot of them. That's my biggest one. Huge improvement in usability for me on the ZF. Because I am a big fan of auto ISO. I think ISO capability is so very, very good across the board these days that I just trust it in just general situations. Unless I'm in some like very low light stuff, if it's broad daylight or inside wherever, really, unless it needed to be at like 12,800 or something, and I'm like eyeballing that, and I may need to like switch it off and mess with shutter speed or something else, I trust it, man. These days, the cameras just do so well.
Yeah, I mean, you could pretty much limit it at 6400 and never have a bad looking shot. Like on most cameras, most full frame like modern cameras, like if you had auto ISO and limited it to 6400, none of your shots will be bad, unless of course you literally just don't have light.
And it's not even to say that I don't shoot at 12,800. I do a ton of astro at 12,800. You
Yeah.
just have to get it right in camera and deal with what you got. And even what you get at 12,800 in 2025 is still very good.
Yeah, it's super good. Yeah, that's.
And so, what's up?
I was gonna say that's what a lot of people forget is like
Yeah.
now that it's so much better, the more you crank your ISO, the more you just can't change it much in the raw file without really starting to crush it.
Yeah.
Which is, I have owl shots from I think probably February or January that I shot at 12,800, and it's
Yeah.
dusk. It's like twilight, and
Yeah.
they're pretty good. And I didn't even use AI denoise, and they're like
Right.
decent. And that's on. I can't remember if I was using the A7 IV or the A7CR at that point, but it doesn't matter. Like it's pretty freaking good.
Yeah. The Z8 also got a firmware update. It's not a big 2.0, but I was looking through the list and noticed a bug fix that I experienced that I did find other people experience just recently, that I didn't tell you about yet. But there's a graphical display issue, and it's under very certain weird conditions, and I can't recall what they all are. But I was able to repeat it where sometimes if I took a picture in the right conditions, both the viewfinder and the LCD screen would glitch out, like as if, like, have you seen pictures where like somebody's computer screen glitched out because the GPU went bad or something, like just pink and green and blotchy and everything? That's what it would look like for like a split second, and it freaked me out.
Yeah,
So I started Googling. Don't love that at all. Started Googling. Excuse me. And I saw a couple people had this issue, but then literally days later, when the update dropped, I read that they fixed this issue. And mind you, I'd only been able to do it once so far, and I've only had the camera for a month, but I've already put in 5,000 shots or so. But I was able to repeat it at one time. I read that update. It fixed the exact bug that I was experiencing, and since the update, I haven't experienced it yet, and I've tried to recreate again. So thankfully, it seemed like that one was a quick fix. Well, the Z8's been out for like what, a year now, so
yeah, even longer than that. I can't remember.
a little longer than that.
It's been out for a bit.
Yeah.
But,
So I'm sure there's people who maybe have run into that and maybe have returned the camera because they ran into that weird bug, and that scared me enough to consider it myself. But I held on for a second. It was a little like, oh, I'd take a shot and then sometimes it would stick for a few seconds where I like couldn't use the camera. So I was like, this is concerning.
yeah.
So it was a very weird one. There were a couple other nice touches on that firmware update, but I just want to just reiterate, good on Nikon, and we love good, beefy, exhaustive firmware updates that actually do some stuff.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Super dope. Speaking about Nikon. Nikon has probably released the cheapest, most close to, not quite, but most close to a pro featured camera that I've ever seen for well into sub $2,000.
Yeah.
So the Z5II was announced.
Z52, Z5II. Sorry.
Yeah. You said
You're
Z52 earlier.
I
but
did. I just
correct you.
realized.
The Z5II at, I don't know, their prices are weird, $1,696 or whatever, but $1,700.
You got it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a dork. Fairly spec'd out. It's a super cool camera. The fact that it has dual card slots, it can't record video to both, which is the main like hybrid crux it has. But has two card slots. It has 4K 60 cropped, just like the A7 IV, which is fine for $1,700. I'm not gonna be mad. IBIS is good. 1/8,000th of a second shutter, 24 megapixels. Like, if I didn't have a camera right now, I would buy this. Like, if I just like I needed to get the best bang for my buck. I do know that the body's a little smaller than the Z6. It sounds like, but yeah, I don't care about the micro HDMI on this camera because it's $1,700. Like, you're not gonna kit this camera out like it's a Z6 III. The Z6 III is only $800 more if you need to like kit a camera out.
Do you know what Nikon just did? They just made a camera that people can recommend people buy who aren't in the system yet. Because a lot of people who like go on the Nikon subreddit or whatever, maybe you're coming from F mount, get recommended like Z6II
Yeah,
or
they're
something like that.
right.
And it's like if you want to, the adapter, the FTZ adapter is fantastic. It's phenomenal. It makes your F mount glass feel pretty native. And honestly, the lens performance can get better. But now Nikon has a body at $1,700 to pull people out of other systems and introduce people to their first camera.
Yeah.
It feels at full frame. It feels fantastic. And this is off the backs.
With no real caveats. With like really like
None.
if you try to come at me with like the argument is it's $1,700. This is the best full frame camera under $2,000. I don't even know if there's that many cameras under $2,000 that aren't like old bodies.
Right,
like I know the
right, brand new,
A7III or whatever is like 1,400, which is insane. Like that's dead in the water now. Don't go buy a Sony A7 III brand new for $1,500 when this exists.
No,
and they have cheap glass.
Yes,
like they have their.
That was what I was gonna say. You could get this and Nikon's 51.4 for what, $2,100?
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's epic. A really good starting kit.
Yeah, and then they have things like the 17-28 and the 28-75 and stuff, and they have these like affordable zooms that creators could use. And again, like you could go shoot a wedding with this, and like it doesn't like. There's always the.
You could.
This camera's really good for the money, except it's not pro because it doesn't have two cards, and this has all the stuff that people like.
The two cards, yeah.
This has a 3.69 million dot EVF.
That's one thing Nikon's been on their game about lately.
Crushes my $3,000 A7CR.
Yeah,
like that's insane. There's one thing that makes me crazy about this camera body, and it's that it has a D-pad with no wheel around it.
Yeah. Once you get that, it's hard to let go of.
Like I'm dealing with the fact that I don't have a thumbstick on my A7CR, and I hate it. I hate not having a thumbstick, but at least I have a wheel.
Yeah.
And this body, I don't remember if this body has a thumbstick or not, but I think it might. I think it might have a thumbstick, and it doesn't have a wheel. And it made me realize.
It has a thumbstick.
I think if I had to choose between one, I'd rather have the wheel than thumbstick.
I don't know if. Man, so I think now on the Z8 I would agree because I'm pretty comfortable with that autofocus system and I'm not moving the points around as much. I really miss the wheel.
Yeah, the wheel is everything.
Yeah.
I can at least I have a button to turn touch on and off.
Yeah.
So if I really got to be moving a fine point, I'll use the screen. Like it's not amazing, but I can do it. Yeah, this is a fully spec'd out camera. If you don't have a camera and you really want one, and you really want to get into a full frame system, you don't want to go with like any APS-C stuff, and you want access to decent glass, you have access to amazing glass, because if you go with F-mount glass, you have, what, 50 plus years of amazing glass?
Yes.
And then you have pretty good, some of the cheaper Nikon lenses are definitely like Gen 1 Tamron lenses, which are like still good, but they're not amazing, but they're cheap.
Right.
But they're more affordable and they're native. Yeah, it's.
Are you put off by the no top LCD screen at all?
No, because I don't have top LCD screens. I know the Nikon people love them because like the Z6 III has one and it's incredible, and the Z6s all had them and people really like them. And I
like it a lot.
I wish I had one. I think they're great.
Yeah.
I think they're awesome, but I haven't, and I don't, so I don't care.
I know it was brought up on Petapixel, and it kind of it took me. I was a little surprised to see people really complained about it not having one, for it being an entry-level full-frame camera.
But people coming from other systems isn't going to care, and people coming into their first camera is not going to care.
Right,
so,
exactly.
Like, if you have a Z6 III, shut up and go get a different camera. Like, you don't need a Z. Don't buy a Z5II if you have a Z6 III, unless you need a second body for weddings or something, because you don't need it.
Yeah.
That's a want, baby. That is
It's
all
not
that
on
is.
a lot of cameras.
I
It is a
can't-
nice to have.
Can't believe they made an $800 cheaper camera and it doesn't have the stuff that my $2,500 camera has. Yeah, because it's not $2,500, man. I don't know what to tell you. They did all the things that people actually need.
But the A7 IV is $2,500
No, it's not. It's $2,000. It's 1998 now.
now.
Yeah, and it was incredible.
It'd be worth that now.
It was incredible when it came out, and it's still worth $2,000. It's an incredible camera.
Yeah.
You're remember that your camera right now is a lot of money.
Yeah.
A Z8 is a premium high-end camera. It is like
I'm
A7R5 level camera. Plus.
Reveling in how fast technology moves, you know?
Yeah, of course.
Like, even though we do feel like we're plateauing a little bit, the difference between the A7 IV at that price point, which was admittedly $500 higher, right, than the A7 III was when it launched. So it felt a little like, oh, Sony, you're really asking for a little bit more on this in the same lineup. But the fact that, you know, just a few years ago we had the A7 IV for that premium price, and now the Z5II comes out for $1,700, and you get considerably more inside that body. It's interesting.
The ZF is almost spec for spec with the A7 IV, and it's $2,000.
Yeah,
and it has caveats that I wouldn't take over an A7. Like I'd take an A7 IV over.
But it's got style.
Yeah, I don't care. What I'm saying is I think like the price is probably still fair, probably still fine.
No.
If I had nothing and somebody handed me an A7 IV, which I still use every day at work, despite having 2 other cameras, I will go to it and happily use it. I still shoot tons of photos and tons of video on it. It's great. This is just better for the money than anything else that has ever come out from anybody. Like this
incredible value.
This is just nuts. Yeah, so the precedent that you can have this many specs sub $2,000 is really interesting, because I wonder what will happen. Because like the closest thing we have to this was the R8.
Yeah.
But the R8 had tons of caveats. Like the R8 is not a professional camera. It is just a much more affordable full frame camera. So if you're playing around with like R100s and you're in like the T8i, and you know, you see the R8 and you're like, oh, this is actually awesome. This is way better than the ESR, way better than the RP. You know, it does a lot of really high quality image making.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't have like the what I need to do a job features that the Z5II has. Which is why it's so remarkable. Like it's not because it's sub $2,000, it's because it does everything that anybody would need. Any photographer who makes money doing photography can take this thing to a job and be fine.
And you do have some nice to haves, like you get pre-capture in this $1,700 camera, which is pretty cool.
It's pretty much all their tech. I think it has the same Z6 III autofocus.
You've got 1/8,000th of a second mechanical.
Yeah, I don't have that on my $3,000 camera. So like what I'm saying, it's
30 FPS at full resolution.
Yeah, it's decent, man.
Yeah,
pretty cool for them. I think that'll get people on their system. That'll take creators on YouTube and stuff. That's going to be the new guy right there. Yeah. That's probably Sony's worst nightmare, is that camera coming out the way it was.
Dude. Like people are going to look at, I really am wondering now, what is an A7 V going to do that people won't look at that at probably $2,500, maybe more?
What they have to do is hope that they have the margin to make the A7 IV $1,700.
No, honestly,
that's what they have to do, because that's what would make me go, oh, but I do want G Master Glass and stuff.
Right.
Because like again, I was almost going to switch to Nikon before even you did, because I liked the sound of the Z6 III so much.
Yeah.
But then all that glass, man.
Yeah.
Which is my segue to Sony glass, because we have a rumor.
Yeah.
That there's going to be a 50-150 f2. Astronomically expensive lens. Just gonna suck. Just gonna beat me right in the face. Just gonna club me with a flanged mace. Something that'll just hurt so bad and destroy everything about my entire soul. But similar length to the 70-200 f2.8 GM. 300 grams heavier. So like decently heavier.
Oh, I didn't know we had like specs.
These are like the these are probably the specs. This is the type of rumor that Sony Alpha Rumors does, where it's like pretty much if he has this data and he's posting it, it ends up being mostly true.
Dang. All right.
Um,
I didn't really look into it that hard. I
oh
just
yeah,
saw what we were looking
I
at.
did. I got
Yeah.
spicy about it. The big question for me is, will it be able to take a teleconvert?
Mm.
Because if it can, I'll live with 300 f4.
Yeah.
I'll live with that.
That's pretty cool.
Because I would sell the 70 to 200 for it.
Oh, wow.
And I'll tell you why. Because I live on the 70 to 200 between 70 and 135. Unless I'm doing wildlife. Unless I need the maximum. But
That's
if I'm
wild
doing
to me.
but if I'm doing the stuff that I love to do with the 70 to 200, it's because I like f2.8 from 70 to 135. Like
Wow.
I'm always there. This is literally, so everybody talks about the 28 to 70 f2 is like having 3 primes or whatever. Right?
Yeah.
This is literally a 50, 85, and 135 f2. This is 3 primes. This is like really soft background. This is like
just 3 other primes.
Yeah, this is a proper replace my 70 to 200. I have like if I'm doing long stuff, I have a 200 to 600. That's fine. But this would, I don't, with 50 again, from 70 to 50 is huge too. Because on full frame, that means I just don't have to remove this from my camera. 70 is a little long. 70 is long for stuff in like the shop, or if I'm doing like products and I'm doing like flat lays and stuff like that, I go, 70's kind of tight. I'm not trying to be on 70 all. So the 70 to 200 comes off the body because I need like a 35 or a 50 mil. But a 50 mil f2, that's
I can do it for you.
That's fine. I'm good. I'm completely good on that. I could do like 99% professional work with a 50 to 150 f2. This rushes the Tamron, the concept of the Tamron to me. I didn't like that the Tamron was f2 to f2.8 because I do video. So it's unfortunate that it can't stay that open. So
and you lose that f2 pretty quick.
Right. So for me, the Tamron was like 35 to 150 f2.8 that you could make a little brighter sometimes if you really needed to. Because if I was doing video, it'd be locked in at 2.8, which is still incredible. It's awesome.
I think this lens is going to replace a lot of 70 to 200s for wedding photographers and a lot of other photographers. But I think we're going to see 50. If this comes out, 50 to 150 will be a lot of weddings.
So, caveat to that. There's a huge caveat.
I mean, weight.
4,400.
Weight is an issue. Yeah, well, yes, but this is a wedding lens, so they're gonna buy it.
Dog, that's $4,000. Like they're still like, I don't know. You're not like trying to make your money off of weddings right now.
Not right now.
That like, from what I've been hearing, that window for those folks, high-end wedding photographers, cool all day long. But like, this is not as easy as like a normal, not pushing every avenue. Like this is not going to be in every wedding photographer's. That is insane.
Oh no, I didn't mean to say every wedding, but I think it will be any, like your town's best photographer is going to have this lens.
I mean, yeah, but that's so much money. If this thing is over $4,000,
not disagree.
That might be the only thing that makes me not get it, because that's like that's like 300 f2.8 prices. It's 400. You're like, why am I spending
day one money?
Yeah, like I have to sell all of my kit to get that almost.
Yeah. That's a big consideration. Very big.
That's over $1,000 more than the 28 to 70.
Yeah. That's
crazy. So, I don't know. Hopefully that detail is completely wrong, and it has to be under $3,000 for me to buy it. Like straight up, it has to be under $3,000 for me to buy it. If it's $28.99 or whatever, cool. If it's $29.99, I'll still be like, ah. But if that thing goes over $3,000, like it could be the last lens I ever want. but that's expensive.
Yeah, well, it's a nice zoom at f2. That's a considerable amount more light for a lot of applications. There's, man, it is a lot of money. So I don't know. I really hope it's not going to come out at that price, but
And this is the
it's a
thing
first of
too.
its kind, right?
Yeah, and this is crazy too because these rumors are saying that it starts shipping in June.
Oh, man,
So like I don't
that's
know when
a
this
lot of
announcement
information.
is. Yeah, like so I don't know. We'll see. Could just be crazy speculation. Um, but it's gonna be a white G Master. It's gonna be
Oh,
expensive.
yeah. Did he make a video saying that it was possibly an A7 V or some other camera that this lens was being used on in the field right now?
I didn't see that, so I don't know.
Oh, okay. Because I
But
know that's got to be around the corner. We've been talking about it being delayed, but people have to have them in their hands right now testing that camera.
dude, they don't even have A12s out yet. Like
Yeah.
they can't ship those damn things yet. So like
Yeah.
I am curious in that regard because like the way I've kind of been considering things, there's like a couple ways I can go. There's like I have a few high ticket items in my existence in my inventory between all of my hobbies that if I just sold them all, I could just go get an A12.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been considering it because like that would be 50 megapixels. That would be all the speed I need. That would be everything I need for wildlife. It would also be able to do like 80% of what I need the A7S III to do. So it's like truly a professional, fully featured hybrid camera. I
Yeah.
just would shut up and shoot photos and not worry about buying a new camera for, I don't know, like how do you get better than that? You know what I mean? Like really, like you
Mm-hmm.
don't get better than that. The thing that gets better than that is when you have something like the Z5II where you're like, oh, now it's cheap enough that I'll throw it in a backpack with
Yep.
like wherever I go, and now I have like a super sick camera. That's cool. That's like where we're at.
Yeah.
So yeah, but they got to be able to ship this stuff. This lens has to be able to be made and released. I think they just pushed back on the 400 to 800 being shipped. Like
Oh, really?
they pulled pre-orders.
Oh,
So and like I'm sure there's a little bit of tariff scare stuff. We're not going to get into any politics or any tariff stuff because unless you're
yeah.
an economist and you have insider information, if your info is from any news outlet, they also don't know, and
Yeah.
nobody has a crystal ball. So unless you do, please tell me what the Mega Millions is going to be soon because I would love to just jump on that. But there's no sense in speculating unless what
No.
you do is economics. So unless somebody is actively spending their livelihood doing economics, just don't get freaked out by people saying stuff. Same with markets and stuff like that. This is not financial advice, but like just my biggest advice to be a human and not want to, be sad all the time is just woosah, focus on yourself, make sure that
Yeah.
you and your family's good, blah blah blah, whatever. Though we are on the tail end, we were hoping we were on the tail end of the like supply shortages that like Fuji was seeing and all these people were seeing. So to see Sony start backing down on a handful of things and not being able to like release stuff fast enough, I am curious what the ebbs and flows of precautions being made within the supply chain and within factories and what they're trying to plan for.
Mm-hmm.
Because you never know. You really don't know until something actually happens and things are locked in stone. So
Yeah.
hopefully that doesn't mean that cameras get really expensive anytime soon. Hopefully that means we still get cool stuff this year. But they can't make it and they can't sell it and they can't import it, then we could just be sad. And Europe can have them. Just look at to our European YouTuber friends about all the cool stuff that they'll get.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, this lens has kept me up at night. I think it's a remarkable idea. Want one.
Oh.
The last thing that I had today is Davinci Resolve 20 beta is out.
Tell me about it.
And I can't even get into it. What I'm going to say is like you got to go read if you use DaVinci or if you're considering DaVinci, if you hate Adobe, go look at the public beta for DaVinci 20. A couple of things that they did was keyframe editing. So you can adjust stuff with a whole keyframe editor now, which they didn't have, which if you're coming from like Final Cut or Premiere, it's going to change your life if you're trying to animate text or if you're trying to do anything in your frame. It's You're not going to have to jump into Fusion and relearn a bunch of stuff just to do things that were pretty basic in your old NLE. That's huge. Music Remixer, which is one of the things I use all the time in Adobe, was, oh, I have this epidemic sound thing, but halfway through the song it changes like its entire beat. I hate it. And I just want like a little bit longer of this thing. I'm going to expand this entire thing for whatever time you want. It's super good in Adobe, and they use their Sensei whatever. I use it.
Oh, is this like an AI thing?
It's not like AI like all the current AI stuff, but what it does is it just like takes the things, it kind of smartly cuts it, and then it just expands it into sounding more like the same. So if you just want to have like a nice loop, you don't have to sit there.
Stuff we do, we just chop it up and make it a longer beat. Yes,
yeah, you have to sit there and you cut it. It's been good in Adobe for like 2 years.
Cool.
I've been using it ever. It's incredible. I started using it at Camp Thunderbird, so this must have been 2021 or 2020 when that started being a feature. They have a music remixer now. Incredible. You can import a PSD file and work off of the layers in Davinci, which is massive, huge, because that's one of the biggest things about being in the Adobe system is you're probably in Photoshop, you're probably doing this, you're probably building your assets out for videos in Photoshop, etc. Now you can go from you can decompose a PSD into layers on a timeline.
That's pretty
cool.
Move.
Yeah, it's incredible. They're doing a ton of stuff. It now officially supports vertical video, which is huge because I was losing my mind trying to cut vertical stuff in it for Jaegerworks. Like, it was stuck in the horizontal preview, and you just had this like baby preview. And if you're not familiar with Davinci, you don't have like all the flexibility that Premiere has for changing your work like space. So if you're in like the edit tab or if you're in Lumetri, you can move all those panels in Premiere. You can't really do that in Davinci. They don't let you like move all your little windows or customize it, which is like good and bad. A lot of people don't use that feature. I use it for like very small stuff. So it is what it is. But being able to support vertical video is huge. I haven't got a lot of time with it yet, but I do have it installed and I started playing with it, and I'm stoked that there's more like in a deep functionality. There's a ton of stuff in Fusion. There's a ton of stuff like it's huge. It's a massive update.
Awesome.
And I pay for Studio, and I bought it, and it's just free. You get to upgrade to all this new stuff with your paid and have all the access. Epic, because that already has saved me so much money. Even though I still technically pay for Adobe as well. Whatever. Yeah, it's cool. I think even just the free version is now going to be such a huge asset to people who just can't afford to like be in a subscription life.
Yeah.
So if you want to make videos, all you need is whatever cell phone you already have and Davinci Resolve, and it is.
Yeah, it's powerful. I used it at work yesterday doing that 4K 120 stuff, and I down-resed it because Resolve, whatever. But yes, it's very nice to not have to be on Adobe if you don't need to. I only pay for Lightroom now, so no access to Premiere. Resolve is very, very powerful.
Yeah, but that's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of gear heavy stuff after a lot of photography. I just wanted to get on and do another episode because there was enough gear to talk about. I'm excited for some trips. We're gonna get into some birds. Today was sunny. Hopefully we get a little bit of time tomorrow and we can find some birds. We still got a wild amount. I don't know if you saw any of my recent Berta stuff. We were out just on the road trying to find some. I can't remember what we were looking for. But Elle saw some stuff on eBird. We were looking for
Harrier. I saw her post a Harrier.
Oh, dude, she's been on it. That's epic.
Awesome.
That was so cool. Yeah, I'm jealous of the Harrier for sure. So stoked that she got it because she has been trying to find one for like 6 months or something. It feels
the gray
like
ghost,
forever.
the male one that's like all white basically.
It's sick. But we were hanging out and we thought there's like this big mass of birds. We're like, okay, it's like starlings or whatever, and we both snapped a handful of photos or whatever. Wilson snipes. Like 20 to 30 of them just flying in the air, and I thought that was sweet because the first photos we got when we were trying to find them, they're basically invisible on a muddy, in a muddy farmland. You have to like sit there.
They blend in so well.
It's insane. It's like you have to look frame to frame and see like dirt move in your photos.
Yeah.
Or else they're just perfectly camouflaged.
Yeah.
But I got some in flight, which is cool, like a whole group of them. Like
Very
I said,
nice.
saw some teals, saw a loon, like a million miles away. But we're getting there. I am now a leveled up in Berta on my waterfowl. I think I have over 20 this year, which is the most I've
Nice.
ever had. So that's pretty cool.
All right.
But yeah, I still have a lot of work to do. Hopefully by the next time we're in an episode, I'll have the rest of my Tulum photos up on Berta. If you use Berta, let us know. Like we should link on there. I want to see what y'all are birding.
Yes.
Um,
Same. I need more Berta friends.
yeah. So that's all I got for you. If you like the episode, sweet. If you haven't listened to the last episode, definitely do. We go through a ton of stuff. Have a great time. Yeah.
Link the Discord. I'm sure that'll be in the show notes below. Discord's been popping. It's been very nice talking with people, seeing other people's work, whatever it is, experimental stuff. I want to see it all. I want to see your galleries. I want to see your stuff. Talk about it. So pop in. It's been nice.
I was gonna just make it open and then we'll just have to moderate it. We got enough people that are in there enough to moderate it. So if you want to come in, come chat with us, come talk about photos. Let's see your stuff. We want to talk about work. And other things. We also have shit posting and whatever you want to do in there, so it's fun. Good time. We're trying to just be anti-Instagram, anti-social media, and like connect with people making stuff. I promise you'll find at least one person that you like their work enough to go, oh, I'm gonna like engage with their art. A little bit more than scrolling through Instagram and going, oh, that's pretty. That's pretty. So it's fun. Anyway, that was it. Catch you in the next one.
Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.
Doodles.